Welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon. Guys and girls, I'm a retired New York City police detective with 20 plus years of law enforcement. If you like all things true crime related from the police perspective, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you'll get all things DutyRon when I go live or upload another video. And tonight we're going to talk about Casey White. He's been charged with felony murder in the death of Vicky White. We're going to get into it with our special guest, criminal defense attorney Joe Murray. He's the guy we all love, and some of us love to hate him. But guess what? Joe Murray gives it to you as it is. He knows his business. He knows what it's about. And he's going to bring us, in no uncertain terms, the 411, if you will, on the new charges for Casey White against Vicky White. So again, I want to just say thank you to the Patreon supporters, the channel members, and all of the folks who positively engage in Crime Time with DutyRon. You guys are what makes this a great community. And I want to say thank you to my Patreons and also the folks who moderate and watch the replays. You guys are great. The replay viewers are phenomenal. Ed Wallace is traveling right now to South Africa, actually to Africa. He made a correction with me today. It's not South Africa. He's going to a certain location in Africa, which is not South Africa. We'll talk about that in a minute, but let me introduce my guest. Joe Murray, retired New York City police officer turned criminal defense attorney. He has his own YouTube channel, Allegedly Guilty, and he is a practicing criminal defense attorney. Joe Murray, thank you for joining. What's happening, Joe?
Oh, so good to be here. Always a pleasure, Ron. Looking forward to this one. This is really interesting, this case.
Yeah, Joe, I mean, I was blown away today, and I was sitting at my desk, and we all know Dawn Marie. She's a great friend of the channel, moderator, friend to everybody here. She's a transplant from New York down in Florida. She is constantly scanning for breaking news for me, and Dawn Marie got right on the horn, sent me a text message, DutyRon, this is breaking, and I didn't even know it because I was juggling things over at my little director of security position I got over at Amazon, and she was just like, you know what, I think you need to look at this. And I was like, hey, fellas, wait a minute. I put everything down, and I went right to it. Joe, I want to set up for our outside audience just a little bit of this piece. I got a 2-minute and 44-second video from our good friend Brian Enton. He may be joining us tonight. So for those of you who are fans of Brian Enton, I tried to reach out to him. He's juggling the news desk tonight, but I sent him the link, and we'll see if he joins us. That'll be an awesome treat towards the end of the show. So I'm going to play a little piece from our good friend Brian Enton, and everybody just sit back, relax, and take a peek at this. This is breaking news from today. Casey White charged with the murder of Vicky White.
Well, to Alabama, where inmate Casey White is now charged with the murder of Vicky White. She is the corrections officer who helped him escape from a Florence jail back in April. The pair, who were not related, were on the run for 11 days before police closed in on them in Evansville, Indiana. And that's when Indiana police say Vicky died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Newsnation senior national correspondent Brian Enton was the first national reporter on the scene when that manhunt ended. He joins us live tonight. So, Brian, Casey's not accused of directly killing Vicky, but he has been charged with felony murder.
Yeah, Nicole, this is an interesting development. A lot of people did not see this coming. It was sort of a surprise when the district attorney released the news today that he'll be facing this felony murder charge. We knew that he was facing the escape charge, and now felony murder on top of that. The prosecutor saying that Casey White is ultimately responsible for the death of Vicky White. It's a bit confusing because all along authorities have said that Vicky White shot herself, but felony murder comes into play because prosecutors say Vicky died in the process of another crime. That's how they put it, in the process of another crime, which would have been the escape. You'll remember the pair was having a romantic relationship behind bars when Vicky helped Casey escape, and they went on the run together for 11 days. That was back in April. Casey White right now on top of the escape charges and this felony murder charge, he's also still facing a murder charge from a totally different case from years ago, Nicole. So it does not appear that he will be getting out of jail anytime soon.
Yeah, so not going to be, getting out anytime soon. No, but how difficult is it going to be for prosecutors to prove this charge? Because it appears that Vicky White went willingly.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. I mean, all the legal experts that I've spoken to today say it's going to be an uphill battle. Obviously, Vicky White is no longer around. She can't defend herself. But Casey White's attorneys are going to make the point that this was all Vicky's idea, that she came up with it behind bars. Remember the video. She helped him get out of jail. She lied. She said that they were going to a mental health appointment. So it'll be interesting to see how all this plays out. But another interesting thing, Nicole, it wasn't just the DA who decided to charge Casey White with this new felony murder charge. He actually went to the grand jury, presented the evidence to a grand jury, and they're the ones who signed off on this new charge. So we'll see how it all plays out over the next couple of months.
Yeah, we certainly will. All right, Brian Enton reporting live. Thank you.
So there you have it from our good friend Brian Enton from Newsnation. Joe, how difficult, I want to just jump right into it with you. How difficult is it for the prosecution? Now, we know they have the burden of proof. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this crime, in fact, happened. How difficult is this one going to be for them in a court of law?
Well, it's going to be a difficult task because, I mean, there are a lot of questions about this. You know, the first thing in a murder case that you look for is the death of another. In a homicide, it's one person causing the death of another. This is not a homicide. This is a suicide. So I think that's their first problem, you know, but it really depends. They made a point of saying that it wasn't the district attorney charging him with this, it was the grand jury. And I love that because, you know, our Chief Justice of the Court of Appeals, our highest court in New York State, is renowned for making the statement that the grand jury would indict a ham sandwich if if the DA asked it to. So to say that, I mean, when they get the instructions from the district attorney and the instructions on the felony murder are pretty, you know, blanket inclusion, there's really only two things that they look for. Foreseeability. Was it foreseeable that she would have taken her own life as a result of this crime? And the obvious answer is yes, because that was the plan. I mean, they actually planned this out, that she was going to kill herself. And then the second thing is causation. And in causation on a felony murder, it's not the proximate cause. They don't have to prove that I fired the gun. It is what we call the but-for cause, which is so broad, which essentially says, but for my escaping, would she have died? And the answer is clearly no, because the pact was, during this escape, if I'm going to be captured, I'm going to commit suicide and you're going to suicide by cop. Right. So they satisfy both of those elements, the but-for causation and the foreseeability aspect. But I do think that if I was handling this case, I would file a motion saying that this statute is unconstitutional as applied because it's over-inclusive of the harm that the legislature intended. I don't think anyone could rationally say it was intended by the legislature that a felony murder by suicide would be something that should be included in this. So I would file a constitutional challenge to this as being, you know, there's two ways you can challenge it: on its face, the language on its face, or as applied in this case. I think applying it the way they are in this case would be unconstitutionally broad. So that's where I would go.
Yeah, it's a difficult, it's a stretch as far as I could see. And like, I thought about this for a great part of the day today, and I was like, hey, you know, there's so many moving parts to this, and there's so many opportunities to put reasonable doubt in a jury's mind. So, you know, again, you know, people are all over the place with their thoughts and their opinions. Did Casey White, in fact, shoot her? We found out through the medical examiner's office in Indiana. They performed the autopsy, and a medical examiner said she died by self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Very specific, very precise, very concise. A defense attorney is going to have a field day with that one, because I have a clip that I'm going to play here for you, Joe, and I know you'll be clapping in the background. Casey White's defense attorney gets on with a local news station and basically says, we are going to subpoena the autopsy. We're going to request it. We're going to bring it forward as a motion, and we're going to bring it forward for a motion to dismiss. He doesn't actually say that, but I can see where he's going with it. So let me cue this up. Welcome all the new channel members. I just gifted 10 more memberships out there, and it went to some really cool people. I saw Eddie T got one. Gerda from South Africa got one. Cami got it. And a couple, I gifted 10. It was just, while you were talking, it gives me great pleasure to do that for some of the folks. So if there's anybody else out there that is feeling misty, there's a bunch of people who really would love to be members that are on a fixed budget. Phil Grimaldi, speaking of great guys, there he is, our good friend from straight out of Brooklyn, as Bill says. Phil's chiming in with a $10 super sticker. I know the first time I meet Phil, he's going to go, hey, DutyRon, how about buying me a drink? You know, I sent you that super chat. Just kidding, Phil. Thank you so much for the super chat. Let's play this little clip here. I think you'll be interested in seeing this. This is from WAAY 31 TV, and we're going to play this. I'll be back with you in 2 secs. You know me, Joe. I'm challenged. Here we go. I think I got it.
The murder suspect who vanished from the Lauderdale County Jail back in April is now being charged with the murder of the jail employee who authorities say helped him escape.
Authorities say Vicky White died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound after U.S. Marshals tracked the pair down on the run in Evansville, Indiana. This is the first time in state criminal courts where a suspect is being charged for the murder of a conspirator who killed himself.
Way 31's Matt Kroll will review the grand jury indictment and new arrest warrant. He joins us in studio now with reaction from Casey White's defense team. Matt.
Nicole, Dan, Casey White was already in state prison on a 75-year sentence for previous convictions and awaiting trial in Lauderdale County in the 2015 murder of Connie Ridgway. Now he'll face another murder charge, prosecutors saying he should be held accountable for Vicky White's death. In the weeks leading up to their disappearance on April 29th, Vicky White had sold her home, told coworkers she was retiring, and mentioned plans of going to the beach. On April 29th, she told those coworkers she was going to take Casey White alone to the courthouse. Hours later, they were both reported missing. Financial rewards were offered. A nationwide manhunt began. That manhunt ending May 9th when they were found in Indiana. During a brief police pursuit, Vicky White was shot in the head. The indictment says because Casey White was in the process of committing first-degree escape, he caused Vicky White's death. His defense team is already responding to this new murder charge.
Casey White will enter a plea of not guilty to felony murder, that we will file all the appropriate pretrial motions, one of which will be a motion for the state to produce a copy of the autopsy of Vicky White. After we get a copy of the autopsy and review that, I'm sure we'll be filing additional motions.
I'm going to put that
Casey
back.
White.
I'm going to put that back because Joe was texting one of his clients. So I want him to hear this part, because this is why I played this video. This is Casey White's criminal defense attorney, probably appointed by the state, probably a public defender. So let's listen to this quick again. He immediately says that they're going to request a copy of the autopsy, and we're going to get into it with Joe when we come back after this.
Will enter a plea of not guilty to felony murder, that we will file all the appropriate pretrial motions, one of which will be a motion for the state to produce a copy of the autopsy of Vicky White. After we get a copy of the autopsy and review that, I'm sure we'll be filing additional motions.
Now, I wanted to go immediately to you on this, Joe. Can you just, in layman's terms, let the audience know what that defense attorney was stating there and where he's going with it?
Yeah, I like I said, I would do the same thing. I want to see the autopsy results if, in fact, she took her own life. Let's just break it down this way. In the ordinary course, if she was to take her own life, just outside of the fact that he escaped from prison, if she just took her own life, nobody would have criminal liability. That's not something that is a crime for someone to commit suicide. They took their own life. If you aid someone in committing suicide, that's a different story. But now marrying that with this felony murder charge, that's why I would make sure I would get that autopsy report, because you can't just do it on hearsay. You need the evidence. Get the autopsy report that shows this was a self-inflicted wound. The cause of death was suicide, not homicide, and use that for the basis of my constitutional challenge. Essentially, I'm saying that this statute, as applied to Mr. White, is because it's including something that is not ordinarily illegal. Being with someone who commits suicide is not a crime. So this statute, as it is applied to Casey White, is over-inclusive because it's including things that are not ordinarily criminal.
Right.
And they're making it part of the murder, statute. So I think he's got a good claim here.
Yeah. I feel strongly about, there's no question in anybody's minds here that Vicky White committed a crime on her last day as a sworn corrections professional. She was an executive. She was the assistant director of transportation for that facility for over 17 years, a combined total of 25 years in the corrections field, right? So once she took him out under nefarious terms, brought him out for this alleged medical appointment, she became a criminal in my mind as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
Joe, she is now out on the run willingly, and they constructed this plan together. There's no argument here that it was not a combined effort. Casey White did not have command and control over her. It was exactly the opposite. He's in a correctional facility, transferred to that jail some time ago because he was getting ready for pretrial for this Connie Ridgway murder trial that he was going to be facing shortly. It was supposed to be in June. Fast forward to where we are today. They go out on the run, 11 days, 3 different states, right? Alabama, Tennessee, and Indiana. And it winds up the way it winds up. We played the audio, and I'm going to play that in a little bit, the audio of either the 911 call, or I'm not sure if it was OnStar. I believe it was a call to 911. We listened to her talk to Casey as he's driving. She said that the airbags are going to kill us. It didn't sound like to me that this was a woman who was contemplating suicide right then and there. She was more concerned about an accident and airbags killing them both. She said, the airbags are going to kill us. She didn't sound like someone that was ready to take a gun, put it up to her head, and end her life. But
Right.
That's where we are. That's where we are with this. At the end of that few minutes, she ended her life, and it was proven by a autopsy, medical examiner's office, independent, different state, has nothing to do with Alabama. There was no good old boys club going on and conversations about, Sheriff Singleton. They had it out for this guy, Casey White, and they're out to get him. They're out to dub him with extra charges. So she takes her life. He gets out of the car and surrenders like a coward and doesn't complete his half. But how are we to believe what this guy says? Do you feel that there was proof in a handwritten letter of some sort or something? Because they're going based on a word of a convict, a guy who's a career criminal. Joe, how will that hold up in court?
Yeah, that's difficult. I mean, I don't know what the evidence was that led them to believe they had this pact, that she was going to kill herself. If that's just another inmate passing that on, that's not going to be very persuasive. Although, a defendant, it's a hearsay exception. If the defendant makes a statement to someone, that would be admissible.
Right.
if it's inculpatory and about the crime. So, but is it reliable? Is it reliable? Is he doing it? Is there a bias? Is there a motive why this inmate is doing that? Is he really telling the truth, or is he exaggerating because he wants to win favor with the DA? I mean, there's problems here all around. But the first and most interesting point is, can you charge felony murder when a participant commits suicide voluntarily? And I think the answer is no, and it's unconstitutionally, as applied, it's unconstitutional overbroad. You know, like you're including things that are not necessarily illegal, you know, and imputing guilt on him. Like, think about a doctor. Thousands of people die every year as a result of malpractice. When do you ever see a doctor charged? You know, so there are certain times where it would be over-inclusive to include somebody in a statute like that. And I think this is one of them. Somebody committing a voluntary act to commit suicide, he has no duty to stop her.
Yeah.
And that's my point. I mean, if someone wants to commit suicide and you don't stop them, you can't be charged with failing to prevent a suicide. There's no such statute.
Yeah.
But in this case, they're kind of making that illegal.
Yeah. I'd be curious to see how many cases get tried in the state of Alabama with these. We're going to put them up on the screen in a few minutes, but let's first say I would be curious to see how many cases are brought forward and what the conviction rates are in the state of Alabama or in that county for that matter. Northern Farm Girl sends in a $10 super chat, and she says, Mr. Ron and Joe, thank you for your expert smarts and sharp brains. We need to hear your take on this insane case. What the heck do you both think? The right call? ? Thank you so much. Thank you for that support. We're going to try to answer those questions and much, much more. Sherilyn Schofner says, I had it highlighted. I got to find it. She said, if you go into a bank, let me just find it. Where did it go? I think it was before that, but she brought up a point essentially. If you go into a bank and someone has, you commit a bank robbery and someone has a heart attack that's with you while you commit that bank robbery, what's the, you know, what happens there? Is this what we're looking at under this exception here under the murder charges? I think I saw quite a few steps. I'm going to put them up, but I can't quite find what she sent. Sherilyn, if you would be kind enough to type that out again, I'd like to highlight that because that was a good question. But listen, again, Joe, there's so many gray areas that are going to be brought up. This is a defense attorney's, he's going to have a field day with this.
Oh, it's a dream. It's a dream, a case like this. Even the jurisdictional issue, you know, the fact that they're charging him in Alabama for the death of Casey in Indiana.
I brought on today's show earlier when I did my show from my office. I was confused and I was like, listen, the finality, the ending happened in Evansville, Indiana. How are they now coming and bringing it back? And you and I talked about this off the air, but I'm sure that they were in agreement that she escaped with him from the jail over in Alabama. We're going to take it from where the origination, like you talked about, if someone shoots somebody in the confines of New York City, but then drives into Nassau County, they're going to bring it back to New York City because that's where the place of occurrence was initially on the crime. But you know, Joe, I mean, what's your thoughts on that? What was perhaps the conversation between the Indiana district attorney and this guy over in Alabama?
Well, I think, you know, in Alabama, that's where I believe it would make sense. That's where they learned about this plan that she was going to commit suicide. But the constitutionality of it is, as long as an element of the crime took place in one jurisdiction, it doesn't matter where the rest of the crime took place, you now have jurisdiction. And the element of a felony murder is the escape. The escape is an element of felony murder. It's the underlying felony crime. And once that took place in Alabama, that gave them jurisdiction over I don't even want to call it a homicide. It's not a homicide, but It's the felony murder that took place that they're charging. So they definitely have jurisdiction because one complete element of that crime, the escape, took place in Alabama.
Now, Joe, I have the code for Alabama, the Alabama code 13A-6-2. That's section 13A-6-2. Let me know in the chat if this is good, if you guys can see this. I can make it a tad bit bigger. Joe, I know that you might have some vision impairment because I see you with your whole noggin right up on the screen. People don't see that. I'm sparing the audience. I'm not.
Yeah, is that out of picture? Good.
yeah. Nobody saw it but me. Here's the subdivisions. It's this is the section for murder, 13A-6-2, and it says A. A person commits a crime of murder if he or she does any of the following: 1. With intent to cause death of another person. Now they say intent to cause death of another person. He or she causes the death of that person or another person. 2, under the circumstances of manifesting extreme indifference to human life, he or she recklessly engages in conduct which creates a grave risk of death to a person other than himself or herself and thereby causes another person's death. I think that paragraph 2 covers what happened with Casey White and Vicky White, no?
No, it's paragraph 3. That's the craved indifference murder. That's being just so reckless, you don't care who you kill.
Joe, I was just testing you to see if you were sharp tonight. So, so that was me testing you. Okay, so here it is, 3. Can you read that, or do you want me to read it?
Yeah, I could read it. He or she commits or attempts to commit arson in the first degree, burglary in the first degree or second degree, escape in the first degree, kidnapping in the first degree, rape in the first degree, robbery in any degree, sodomy in the first degree, aggravated child abuse under section 26-15-3.1, or any other felony clearly dangerous to human life, and in the course of and in furtherance of the crime that he or she is committing or attempting to commit, it even covers attempt, or in the immediate flight therefrom, he or she or another participant, if there be any, causes the death of any person.
So there you have it. I think that's 100% where that's fallen in with what they went with. And they convened the grand jury on July, I want to say 2nd. I'm not, I think July 6th. And they convened this grand jury and they dropped this bombshell today. All of us on the 12th, we were all just in the true crime community, just went nuts. But this subsection 3 covers, what he was doing, the escape from law enforcement, the escape from jail. Mm-hmm. It covers both actions by both parties, but it doesn't talk about these inner workings of the fact of the matter is, and this is the elephant in the room, she killed herself.
Yeah, see, that's the element at the end where it says causes the death of another. Causation is the real issue. But like I said, it is so broad. Yeah, if you look at the bottom, it says in the immediate flight thereof, he or she or another participant, if there be any, causes the death of another person. Causation is an element. It is going to be the difficult element for the prosecution because the causation under the statute, the causation is really what we call the but-for clause, which means but for this crime of escape, would she have died? And clearly the answer is no, she wouldn't have died. She only killed herself because she was avoiding capture.
Right.
She didn't want to be captured, I guess. So that simple but-for test is enough under the felony murder statute. And I don't like that. I prefer proximate cause, that you are the proximate cause, or at least a closely related foreseeable element. And when I say foreseeable, okay, if I'm robbing a store and I come in with a gun, it's foreseeable that if a guy in the store has a gun, he may shoot at me. So if he shoots at me and hits some innocent person, I should be responsible for that. I get that. But something where it's completely unforeseeable, and that's the problem with this. It wasn't unforeseeable. It was planned that she was going to kill herself. But again, it's suicide. It's not that he contributed in any way. This is amazing. It's an incredible issue. I hope these guys, that they challenge it constitutionally as applied, saying this is an overbroad application of the felony murder statute. It should not include someone who voluntarily puts a gun to their head and ends their own life. You should not be responsible for that.
Yeah. Joe, let's look over I agree with you. There are instances, where in the past I might not have agreed with some of the things you said, and you did the same thing with me. So it's like a two-way street, but we both respect each other, and I get what you're saying. Here, I agree with you wholeheartedly. This is the actual code and the felony murder charges that they charged him with. And I want you to take this, if you don't mind. I'll make it big for the vision impaired. And whatnot, but let's go full screen. Everybody can still hear. Before you start talking on this, Joe, can I get a check from everybody in the chat if this is a sufficient amount of magnification, or do you guys want me to make it bigger? Is this a good size? Do you want me to make it bigger? I'll do that. Let's just see for a second. Joey Brooklyn's laughing. Joey Brooklyn. He's always going to get a laugh.
Joey.
Teresa says it's good. Angela says 5x5. She's adorable. She's using code. Okay, good. It's good. All right. Bigger. That's what she said. Donna, we're going to leave it the way it is. Let's see. Donna says bigger, so I'll make it a little bit bigger. Hold on. There we go. All right, that's good. That's as big as it's going to get. That's what she said. All right, here we go. Murder, felony, murder. The defendant is charged with murder. A person commits the crime of murder if he or she commits or attempts to commit, read all that it's appropriate. And I think here, the only thing that's appropriate for the most part is C, the subdivision C, ABC, escape in the first degree. None of these other things are applicable. So he commits escape in the first degree and in the course, I'll highlight it, and in the course of and in furtherance of the crime that he or she is committing or attempting to commit, or in immediate flight therefrom, he or she or another participant, if there be any, causes the death of any person. Jody, can you break that down? Because that was a tongue twister for me to even read. What the F are they saying here?
See that, as I'm reading it, two things come to mind. First of all, can I just acknowledge one of your wonderful subscribers, Franny Melville. Oh my God, she raised a great question. She said if he kidnapped her, I could see how he could be charged with her murder, but she was a willing participant in all of this. That's a great point. Think about it. If she was kidnapped and now held hostage throughout this thing and decides it's too much for her and kills herself, yeah, I think that's, he is responsible for that because he created that situation. But when you're a willing participant and you do this of your own volition and you make the decision, I'm going to, because of my own criminality, I'm going to kill myself. Right. I don't think that's a felony murder, but that's wonderful. To address your thing, that is the element, the second element, that in the course of, in the flight therefrom, you cause the death. And that's really the issue. In the course of and in the furtherance of the crime that he or she is committing or attempting to commit, or in the immediate flight thereof. I want to highlight that for a second, the immediate flight therefrom. That's another element that they're going to have a problem with, because I don't know the background facts, but if the underlying offense is escape and he escaped and got away, how far do you have to get away before it's no longer in the immediate flight therefrom? You know what I mean?
Right.
That's interesting. I think that's another element they're going to have a problem with. Although I don't know the facts. Were they in hot pursuit? Were there people pursuing them?
Yeah, they were in
No.
hot pursuit, Joe. I have it. I have the audio from it, and there's, some grainy footage of, multiple U.S. Marshals in hot pursuit of them. It started right at their hotel that they were sitting at, and they had marked and unmarked units following them. So it was hot pursuit. It was, they were in pursuit. It was not a high-speed chase, but it was hot pursuit. It says here to convict, and I'm going to highlight this. To convict, the state needs to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, that's always in every case, each of the following elements. And there's quite a few elements here, right?
Yes.
A person, Casey White, Vicky White, insert the name of the deceased, is dead. Okay, so they need.
Yeah, that's an important element. We've talked about this, where you have these no-body homicides.
Right.
You got to prove the person's dead, even if the body's not there, and you're making this claim that of a murder. You have to prove that person's dead. So
Right.
That's an important element.
Okay, and then we're going to go to, hold on, let me make it just a tad. I think that's good, right? Everybody could see that. The defendant committed or attempted to commit.
One of those enumerated felonies. They're violent felonies usually for felony murder.
Right. Arson in the first degree, burglary, escape in the first degree, burglary in either first or second degree, kidnapping in the first degree, rape in the first degree, robbery in any degree, sodomy, first degree, any other felony. And that here, number 8, I think is going to be pertaining to this. It says the defendant, so they, in order to convict, the state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt each of the following elements. Now, arson's not going to be applicable for those of you who are paying close attention. Burglary is not going to be applicable. Escape will be. Number 3 will be. Kidnapping, that's an argument that they wouldn't even bring up, that he didn't kidnap her because she broke him out of jail willingly. So there's this. Number 4 is not coming into play. Number 5 is not coming into play. Robbery is not coming into play. Sodomy is not coming into play. But number 8 is any other felony clearly dangerous to human life. And what's the
I could foresee something like reckless endangerment. If you're traveling at 100 miles an hour.
They weren't.
Okay, yeah. So it would have to be something so, dangerous to other human life.
So they're going to have to prove subdivision 3 in paragraph 2 and subdivision 8, because those are the only 2 that are applicable here. And then they're going to have to go to section 3 and prove that in the course of and in furtherance of the crime that the defendant was committing or attempting to commit, or in immediate flight therefrom, he or she and another participant, if there are any, caused the death of Vicky White by describing the act such as shooting him or her. So, I mean, again, there's going to be a lot to this. And people, Joe, people argue that why waste tax dollars? This guy's got a 75-year sentence. He's waiting a capital murder for Connie Treadway, right? He's already 38 years old. So 75 and 38, you do the math. You're in the hundreds. He's not living to 100 in jail. I don't think any inmate. Well, all right, I'm going to probably eat my words. There probably is an inmate that will live.
Don't jinx us. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the possibility and the probability of him even surviving this 75-year sentence, that's what he's got now under his belt. Now you tack on the impending capital murder crime of Connie Treadway. That's still in the hopper. And then now throw on top of this a second thing here for murder with Vicky White. It's, just why bother? Just lock him up, throw the key away, and let him rot in his cage. That's the way I feel about it. This is not a good person. This is a guy who shot a dog. Joe, wait, let me finish. I'll let you go. This is a guy who shot at a dog, shot at people, has been a menace to society. And there'll be people like his mother and some of his family members that say, yeah, he's a good guy. But guess what? I don't want him living next to me. I don't think you want him living next to you. I don't think that he should be out in society because he's a menace to society. But go ahead, Joe. I know you got something to say.
I hear what you're saying, and it's well intended, but you have to take into account errors, trial errors, appeal issues. If he overturns that conviction, and I'm the district attorney and I had the ability to tack on another charge and another conviction to make sure he stays in, shame on me that I didn't pursue that, because, you know, we hear about convictions are overturned all the time, you know, for good reasons, and sometimes maybe not. Maybe just procedural errors. Yes, they should be overturned, but they're guilty. So you have to retry the case. But I just think it's important, first of all, for the victims of whoever is involved by this, you know, like her family may be outraged that he coaxed her into this or whatever. So, but then also just putting that, you know, icing on the cake, because he maybe he gets sick or he's ill and he applies for compassionate release or something of that nature. You know, you have to be careful of that. You can't just assume everything is going to go according to the numbers.
I agree. But like I said, he has a capital murder trial that was supposed to go off in June. So this last month that just passed, if he didn't get broken out of prison by Vicky White, that trial would have already been probably completed. And
well, you know, you also want to send a message to the rest of the inmates there,
right,
that I don't care what sentence you have. You break out of our prisons, you're getting prosecuted. It's a deterrence aspect too, you know, where the government is saying, no, we will not tolerate this. Anyone else thinking about this, you will be prosecuted to the max.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, that's our criminal justice system. That's how it works. They don't just take and say, all right, well, again, I was just talking. That was a conversation. They don't just say, oh, well, you know, we're just going to sweep this one under the rug because he's already, you know, sentenced for a life in prison. It's going to be, you hear about people getting convicted of 10 consecutive life sentences on multiple different, you know, cases. So, yeah, I mean, you have to go with this. And you know what, Joe, like you said, it sends a message. And if, in fact, they are not able to, you know, the state has the burden of proof. If they're not able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, then he doesn't get sentenced on it, or he gets sentenced to something less, a lesser crime. We've seen that happen many, many a times. Did I read the rest of this? I think I did. Was there anything else in this thing?
Well, I think we're good.
I think I read it all.
Yeah.
I wanted to share the press release that was attached with this. Did I send that to you, Joe? The second piece to this with the press release?
I believe so. There was a couple of articles that I looked at. I don't know if it was the press release, but yeah.
I want to try to look for that because that was interesting in itself. Hold on. Where the hell is it? I know I have it on my phone. So let me just go to my phone because it was the district attorney and they I know I sent it to you, so I'm just going to look here.
Yeah, I think it's
felony murder. I was just surprised, Joe, that they put in what they put. Here it is. Here it is. So it's a news release, and it says Casey Cole White indicted for felony murder in the death of Vicky White, and it's dated today, July 12th. I wish I had it up on the screen, but for some reason I didn't save it to my computer. I was rushing. On July 6, 2022, a warrant was issued for the arrest of Casey Cole White for the offense of felony murder regarding the death of Vicky White. The warrant was issued based on a grand jury indictment. White, who is in custody of the Alabama Department of Corrections, serving 75-year sentence due to the convictions from Limestone County, was served with a warrant yesterday at Donaldson Correctional Facility. He is charged with capital murder for the 2015 murder of Connie Ridgway, just as we said a few moments ago. The felony murder indictment alleges that during the course of and in the furtherance of committing escape in the first degree, White caused the death of Vicky White, who died from a gunshot wound to the head. It doesn't say in this press release self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. They just say she died of a gunshot wound to the head. Now, for a minute, my detective sense said, wait a minute, are they trying to pin that gunshot to the head on him? But I got to get this damn thing up and put it up. I'm going to download it onto my computer.
Yeah.
And then the next paragraph says, as are all criminal defendants, White is presumed innocent of the charge until proven guilty. No further information will be released by this office at this time.
Right.
Chris Connolly, Lauderdale County District Attorney. All right, let me email this to myself so I can show this to you guys. Email. What do you think about that, Joe?
Yeah, that's interesting. That was very observant of you to point that one little distinction. It didn't say self-inflicted wound. It said, gunshot wound to the head, or what was the exact language?
Yeah, it said gunshot wound to the head. And why leave that out?
I don't. Yeah, that's interesting.
Things that make you go, right?
Yes. But clearly they indicted it under that theory. The felony murder based on that ME's report that it was a self-inflicted injury. It has to be because of, the fact that she died in the course of or flight therefrom this, enumerated felony of escape.
Yep. Let me just play this. I have one last clip. It's only 2 minutes. I want to play it while I download the documents so we could show everybody this. This is, again, a little redundant, but I'm going to do this for the advantage of people coming in late that might not have seen what we were talking about. Look at that face. That's kind of evilish looking, right? It's one of his arrest photos. I'm not sure when or where it's from, but he doesn't look like a nice guy there.
Garnered national attention in late.
There's the face.
Garnered.
There's the faces. There's the faces of evil. I know Joe won't agree with me on that, but I'll have to say these are the faces of evil.
Listen, I had my face up there. It wasn't too happy either.
Yeah, no, I hear you, Joe. I hear you. That gunshot was not meant for you, Joe, or anybody for that matter. Porter come right out and say, no. I guess he didn't.
Well, no, because he's right. That would be intentional murder. That would be the first, when you read the murder statute, that would be subdivision 1.
Right.
That's an intentional murder. So this was not an intentional murder. That's what he's saying.
Right, but if they're alluding to that perhaps he shot her in the head, then that would be an intentional murder.
Yeah, so that's what I think he's getting at. They would have charged intentional murder if he's accused of shooting her in the head. Clearly.
All right, let's listen to the rest.
No, but felony murder is kind of an unusual. Why? I mean,
these reporters, I got to give them credit. They're right on it, and they're reporting it pretty exact and concise. So
I just love the way he said it. No.
Yeah,
Are they accusing him of shooting her in the head? No.
Nah, I don't think so.
But how fascinating. I mean, this lawyer is right on it. He wants to get a copy of that autopsy report to prove this was a self-inflicted injury, that it had nothing to do with him shooting her. Then his next motion is going to be, I believe, unconstitutional as applied, because there is no duty whatsoever to prevent someone from suicide. And what she did was a voluntary act on her behalf because of her own fear of apprehension, perhaps.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to find the audio. Here it is. So I'm going to play my own video from my police audio of Casey White and Vicky White on the run. So this is going to be a little tough for me to do because I have to kind of like weed through it. But I'm going to get to the, let me see if I did chapters on this. Please, Jackie. Hopefully Jackie did chapters on it and I'll be able to find it. And there's no chapters on it. Shit. Casey White, Vicky White, audio. All right, let's see where we're at in this.
Still inside the vehicle.
Yeah, it was the Cadillac. This footage is from the crime scene.
Coming back towards Baumgart.
All right. So can you guys hear this audio? Joe, you can hear this audio? There we go.
It's breaking up though. I hear some of the radio.
You guys hear this okay?
Okay.
At the south side of Anchor parking lot.
Let me know in the chat if you can hear it.
East side of the parking lot heading south.
He was probably high. That's why she was driving. We didn't know. It was reported that she was driving at this point.
41.
Here we go.
And approaching 41.
These are the police. This is the police radio call.
Coming back towards Baumgart. Clear and approaching Baumgart. Clear.
Yes, she did.
Baumgart.
This is a video from a while. Crashed out. That's the crash. Vicky was driving.
Crashed out in an open field along Baumgart. They're calling you to 911.
Are we gonna hear like shots fired or something?
Just want to make clear he's still inside the vehicle.
They're saying that he's still inside.
Clear and he's crashed out, still inside the vehicle.
So they're crashed out. They're still inside the vehicle.
No, still going to be in the vehicle. We believe we possibly have him on 911.
Vicky White called 911 from the vehicle. So the reason I'm playing this is because I think right after this, I play the actual other side of it. It's her on the phone with the dispatch. I think it gives it'll give us a good overview of what she was saying and a kind of a little bit of her what she was thinking. Like she was trying to tell him to be careful driving and that she was worried that the airbag was going to blow open and kill them both. So let's listen. So a little bit of my commentary. It was bad information. It was about, at that time, they said she was driving the vehicle. We come to find out shortly thereafter, it was him driving it. So please, people on the replay and in the chat, it's just, I'm replaying one of my older videos. So let's just listen to this for a second.
AMR for calling multiple AMR 32. Clear on 2 AMR. Volunteer fire is coming in.
I'm just skipping ahead. She was going to kill herself.
Still range 5. Can you advise any patient status? The yellows can probably slow down.
It hit him as well because he was sitting right next to her. Ram trucks. Well, 3 Ram trucks. Yeah, I didn't. Is it? All right, here it is. Oh, good. I remember the hooked up and around and wound up right here. So this is where it all ended. Diane. So no brainer. Exactly. This shows you the actual. This is the audio, but what I wanted to. This is going to show you the actual the pursuit. It goes up and straight up. You know, it's just a straight line, and it's a low speed pursuit. It's not like they were going 100 miles an hour. All right, this is audio. It's 31 minutes. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I think it's the main part of it is 2 minutes and 22 seconds. Show you here is I'll go full screen with it. So this is the map where things originated. It was 17 minutes, 8.3 miles. It originated here and ended up at the top. Let me take the branding off so you can see it. Hold on, let me take the DutyRon branding off. Okay, so the chase went from here on Interstate 41, straight up as my cursor's going, past the Motel 41, up here into Birch Road, and hooked up and around and wound up right here. So this is where it all ended, and this was the final route for Vicky White. Final moments of her life, and she took her own life, as we know. Again, prayers, thoughts, positive vibes to her mom. Her mother's going to be really hurting. So we send her mom strength, because she had nothing to do with it. So it's a very sad situation. But you know, you make silly decisions. And I want to. Where is it? Why didn't I get to hear it? Full people like this. Where things. You guys, I know I played it. A minute, where did it go? Where is it? Dr. Ed Moskowitz and Julie, thank you. Who's going to be and White, final moments of her life, and she took her own life, as we know. Again, prayers. Did I play it before that?
So we're just going to watch here.
All right, Joe, I guess I don't got it. I wish I would have did a little more advanced planning for this. But again, it was Vicky. I think everybody here in the chat heard it. She was basically telling him to slow down and stop. And shit. Joe, I feel like I'm wasting $450 an hour. That's your billable rate here.
I wish I was
I feel like I'm
easiest money I ever earned if that was the case.
so little questions, right? Oh man, I thought it was right there when I showed that map, but I guess maybe it was that little bit. Hold on, maybe it's good right friend here. Tracy for sending that to me. So let me share this screen with you fellas and ladies. Wait a minute, where did it go? Where is it? Heard that DutyRon is very proud as you where things originated. It was 41, her life. You know, Vicky White. Oh, I'm tired. That was 11 o'clock at night. All right.
That shot herself in the head.
All right. So we're going to leave it at that. I mean, listen, you guys know what that was, that the audio of her, it's kind of cringeworthy to hear it, because she was saying, oh, let's get out and run. Let's get out and run back to the motel and stuff like that. But Joe, I promised you that I would let you go in an hour. We're just hitting the hour. Let's go to the chat and take some questions. What do you think, Joe?
I love it. I see Iris Hewlett made a comment, but still don't understand why she made that 911 call. What is she thinking when she makes that 911 call?
Right. I mean, if she was considering ending her life, why either make a 911 call and why say the things that she said on it? I mean, we don't need to hear it. All we need to know is that it was said, it was recorded, and it showed us that her mental state and her state of mind at that time was clear. It wasn't like, oh, that's it, we're done, I'm going to kill myself. She didn't even say that on the recording. She just said, be careful, let's get out and run. The airbags are going to kill us. You know, what brought her from that to taking her own service weapon out and shooting herself? It's just confusing, you know?
Yeah, that's strange.
If you have any questions for Joe Murray or anybody that has any questions or information, Joe, if you see anything, you can highlight it or just grab it.
Yeah. No, this is definitely a fascinating case. There's a lot of legal issues here that, you know, you just love to see play out. I don't want to be morbid about it, saying I love to see this kind of murder case, but it's very interesting. The law is fascinating to me. It became so fascinating, you know, as a police officer having to enforce the law. But then, of course, myself being a customer, when I was falsely accused of a crime,
right?
You know, it was just so fascinating. And then becoming a lawyer and learning about all this stuff, you know, even further. So I love this, you know, these issues and the way things pan out, even the points that we disagree on. I don't claim to be the know-it-all, but I just look at see, that's what the beauty of the law is. It's supposed to be rationally, logically based. So it's predictable. You can predict the outcome of certain things because of the way the law is. You know, it's supposed to, you know, just be that logical path that you can connect the dots. And I love that about it. I love that about constitutional law. You know, the same thing, the decisions, the doctrine of stare decisis, that when a precedent is established, you can now predict what the outcome of a controversy will be based on the prior precedent. So, you know, I just love that about the law. It's all based on logical sense, that even, you know, a street cop boxer, you know, can jump in here and make sense of this, you know?
Yeah, but you're a smart street cop boxer with a lot of experience with the law. I mean, you know, you studied the law, and you're a criminal defense attorney. So you're selling yourself short, but at the same time, you got a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience, and that's what makes you, you know, a valuable asset to, you know, any true crime community, your own channel, and hopefully you and Ange will get back up and doing your things.
Yes.
Sooner than later. I know you're busy as heck with all of the stuff that you're doing, but you know, we all want to hear. All right, here I got the 911 audio.
Oh, great!
I'm gonna play it through my microphone.
Amazon Island. 911. Hello?
John. Airbags are going on. Let's get out and run. Get us back to the hotel.
Hello?
You heard that last little scream, and then that was it. I didn't hear a gunshot on that.
Yeah, I didn't hear it either.
I'm gonna go back again because the rest of it is just silent.
Amazon Island.
So this says Arizona 911. I mean, they're not in Arizona. So
Amazon Island.
right? Doesn't it sound like Arizona 911?
Mm-hmm.
Amazon Island. 911. Hello?
John. Airbags are going on. Let's get out and run.
Let's get out and run.
Hotel.
Hello?
So that's the meat and potatoes of it right there.
Yeah, you know, it sounded like she said, "Don't kill us." That's not what you would expect to hear from someone about to commit suicide. You know.
Yeah. I'm gonna listen to it one more time.
You know, Ron, let me ask you this: you were playing the radio transmissions of the officers and the dispatcher. I was waiting to hear, because once the car stopped, if she committed suicide right there.
You couldn't hear any gunshots at all.
I would expect to hear a cop say, "Shots fired." Shots fired from the vehicle.
Ed and I analyzed and went over and over the videos from different body cam footage views, and they did back up when the shot went off, but we didn't hear the shot, but you could actually see the body language of the officers on the scene. They backed up and they took like a tactical stance.
Yeah.
You know, it was one shot from inside the vehicle, but I would have thought that on this 911, because it played for 7 minutes. This thing is 7 minutes and 20 seconds long.
Wow.
You didn't hear anything. You didn't hear it's a distinctive pop. I mean, you would hear that pop. So I never heard it.
You know what else we didn't hear? We didn't hear him giving any direction. You better kill yourself or shoot yourself, get your gun, nothing.
Right.
I didn't hear any of that.
Let me ask you, at trial, will we hear this 911 tape and what we just played here?
Oh, of course. Yeah. That would definitely be great.
Right?
What's that?
100%, right?
Yeah. 100%.
So listen, Diana Ulcer says that I heard a shot. I don't know. Let's play it again and let's see if we can hear this.
Amazon Island. 911.
Airbags are going to kill us.
Hello?
John. Airbags are going on. Let's get out. Run. Get us back to the hotel.
They're going to kill us. She did say that.
Hello?
There's a scream there, but I didn't hear a shot before that. I heard the cars ramming them. That was the U.S. Marshals ramming them. I'm going to play it one more time.
Amazon 911. 911.
Please stop. They're going to airbags going to walk us through us.
Hello?
John.
That's a crash into the car.
Airbags are going on. Let's get out. Run. Get us back to the hotel.
Hello?
I just heard like it sounded like the phone dropped and then some screaming, like a one thing, and then you don't hear her anymore after that.
Yeah.
It could be argued that that was a shot, but you and I, Joe, have heard gunshots so many times from being at the range and being on the job and hearing live gunshots in the street. I didn't hear anything on there that sounded like a gunshot.
It's possible that it just didn't pick it up, because of the pitch of the gunfire. I mean, it doesn't sound like a great quality audio anyway.
Hey, by a show of hands in the chat, how many of you heard what you believe to be a gunshot in that audio? And I'll link the audio down below in the description. How many of you guys think that you heard a gunshot? I heard the car being rammed by those Dodge Ram trucks. I did not hear a distinctive, you definitely didn't hear that. And it wouldn't sound exactly like that. But who heard? Barb says no gunshot.
Yeah.
Maybe I should light up a poll. Forget it. I'm not going to do that. So number 2 is, I guess, heard gunshot. Sandy in Canada, she didn't hear a gunshot. Angela is banding together with Dawn Marie. Dawn Marie, no. But if the 911 call was in before the airbags deployed, someone called 911. That's not even the thing. A Facebook user says, I didn't hear a shot and I listened to these tapes for a living. I wish I knew who that was, because whoever it is, we don't know. They didn't authenticate themselves through StreamYard. But thank you for that. You know what? I'd like to hear more from you, Facebook user that says I didn't hear the shot and I listened to these tapes for a living. Send me a message on DutyRon.com. Ashley Lee has a question for Joe and DutyRon. Could she have been holding the gun ready to fire and he grabbed her hand and made her pull the trigger? That seems most logical to me, and I have a feeling that that's it.
It's possible, but that's again, that's why you need that autopsy report. You need, the findings of the investigation, because a lot of times, I shouldn't say a lot, but usually when the medical examiner is doing this type of investigation with the autopsy, they speak to the detectives. They want to know certain facts and information,
Right.
The position of the bodies when they were recovered, like this. I'm sure there's a lot that went into this.
Right.
The decision came out relatively quick.
Yeah, Casey White was driving the car. For those of you asking those questions, it was questioned when I played that last video. It was from months ago. It was initially reported that Vicky was driving, and then it got changed. Just like a lot of things in the story, Joe, a lot of the things were misreported, and even bad information was put out by Sheriff Singleton. Remember the sheriff down in Alabama? He was saying things. He said that they had an inappropriate relationship, that he visited her, she visited him. That, in fact, turned out to not be true. All she did was communicate with him somehow by telephone, but there was initially reports out that she made numerous visits to him in prison using a felonious name, and that was not true. So, and the sheriff reported that. So it's crazy how things get misconstrued and screwed around. Let's play it one more time.
Amazon Island. 911.
Let's go. They're going to everybody's going to walk into us.
Hello?
Thank God. Airbags are going on. Let's get out. Run. Get us back to the hotel.
Hello?
Now, before the yelp, that could be argued as a gunshot, but I don't think so.
Let me interrupt you for one important issue here. We have the benefit of Lieutenant Pranzo in here with us, and he, of course, came out with the most obvious observation. He says he should have had some residue on his hand if he grabbed the gun.
Yeah.
Do we know what type of gun? If this was a revolver, absolutely. But I'm not so sure if it was a semi-automatic.
A semi-auto would do it as well because it spitfires out the side. So you're going to have, as you grasp it, it's going to come out either on your right side of your hand. So the ejection port's to the right. So there's going to be something on the hand. But Joe, that's what forensics is for, and that's when we talk about the medical examiner's office. They don't just do this autopsy and they come out with this result on their own. They bring in specialists. They bring in people who make that determination. And if in fact he did shoot her or if he grabbed her hand, I think there would be something evidence-wise on his own hands as well. And Ed went into that with me. Ed definitely covered that with me because I remember those questions. Thank you, Pete, and thank you, Joe, for bringing that up.
Yeah.
So Ramona is saying the airbags are going to go off. They're going to kill us. That's what she said. That is what she said. Listen,
I thought she said, "You're going to kill us" at the end there.
Yeah, I heard they're going to kill us, but we could listen to this all night. I mean, it's not going to change the makeup of this whole thing. I think that we can all draw our own conclusions, but we're going to see a trial if he pleads not guilty, and his defense attorney indicated that that's what they're going to do. What else? I mean, does he have anything else to lose? Why would he plead guilty to it, right?
Yeah, there's nothing to lose,
Yeah.
Because, when you waive your trial rights, you waive so many appellate issues that could end in a reversal for some reason. That's what I talked about, his other convictions. Sometimes they stay in prison for a long time and appeal after appeal and something pops. But when you plead guilty, you're essentially waiving any chance of appealing it.
Yeah.
But wait, one more. Mary Martins. I don't believe he would have killed her. I don't believe he would kill her, is what she said.
I thought as soon as they got out of jail and as soon as she busted him out, I thought, and I said it, that he was going to kill her immediately because she would be useless to him. But I really think that he was in love with her because he stuck with her those 11 days. Or was he in love with her money?
Yeah. 11 days. Wow. Was he in love with her money? I think he was in love with her money. And Pam says they didn't bag his hands. And I asked Ed Wallace, our crime scene expert, forensics expert, and he said it doesn't matter if they didn't bag his hands. If they made that mistake, which they didn't do initially at the scene, they could have taken, they could have gotten evidence off of his hands once he was processed. I even asked him if he washed his hands, would it wash everything away? And Ed said no. So thank you for that question, Pam. And thank you to everyone who's sending in great questions. If you have any further questions, I would encourage you to leave a comment down below, because not only do I look at the comments, but Joe Murray does look at those comments as well. I love the comments. You have the best. I'm telling you, I can sit there for hours, interacting with people about the comments they raise.
Yeah. So Angela's telling me, DutyRon, send me the 911 audio. Let me try to filter out the noise. I will. I definitely will. I'll send it to you tomorrow when I get to the office. Prior to the crash, Sandy says that there's a possibility, and I think that's the only possibility prior to the crash. But she let out the yelp after the noise that sounded like a gunshot. If she was capped in the head, there would not be that that yelping that, you know, I'm a man, so I can't do that womanly yelp. But she let out that yelp, and that yelp wouldn't have come from her if she got blasted in the head. I strongly feel that, and I know it because I've seen people shot in the head, and I've been on the scene of someone that's freshly shot in the head, and there's no yelping like that after a gunshot to the head. So I don't think that there was a gunshot on audio, because it would be clear and concise. And you know what? I will argue that right to the end until I get a ballistics, or I mean, Ed Wallace is a firearm and you know, crime scene expert. He worked in the crime scene unit for over 10 years, and he said he didn't hear any gunshots on that audio on that 911. So I don't know. You know, officers on the scene, they gave statements. They all said that they heard a shot. Because I have those statements too. This is not what this show is about, but I definitely have their statements, and at least 3 officers one lieutenant put in that they heard a single gunshot from inside the vehicle. So, Joe, any final parting words? What do you think? What's going to happen with this? Is this going to go full boat to a trial, and are we going to see a whole trial on this thing?
I think so. I don't think he's going to take a plea, you know, and like I said, it would not be in his interest to take a plea. You know, if there's, he would be waiving all appellate issues, essentially. So I do think this is going to go forward. I think they're going to first do the capital case. You know, I think that appellate issue.
Right. And no good defense attorney would say to Casey White, oh, just plead guilty and let's just move on.
I mean, the only benefit would be if they gave him some kind of, you know, benefit. But I think there's too many appellate issues. The charge itself could be reversed, you know, because of the nature of it. You know,
right.
they're really making something illegal by this,
right.
You know. So
it is.
Yeah, I think there's a lot here. But again, the goals of prosecution. I think you have to have that. You got to send that message. How many other life prisoners are in there? And if they walk out, you know, and see that there's nothing that would happen to them, no, they need to see that the consequences are very severe.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. Natalie says she's signing off. That's a shame, because I'm going to gift another 5 memberships away. So good night, Natalie. It was good to see you. Thank you for joining. I'm going to wait a couple more minutes, and I'm going to give away another 5 memberships to some of my good friends out there. Joe, do you see anything noteworthy in the chat?
I'll tell you, I love reading your stuff. I mean, it's so interesting. This is the beauty of it. You know, I was actually looking. I have a colleague of mine, and we're going to put our offices together in the same suite, and we're in this big building where there's so many other attorneys, because there's nothing better than putting a bunch of, you know, like-minded people who know the law, and we just banter back and forth about cases. I have done so well with that in my prior office. You know, before the pandemic, I had the greatest legal minds we shared space in this office suite, and it's very collegial. We're all the criminal defense attorneys, but we all help each other, especially if somebody's on trial, because issues come up. And then you just run it by the group, and then you come back with a collaborative effort, you know, to resolve your issues. It's really great. So this is similar to that, because these are the potential jurors, and some of them are experts. You know, like we heard that one person who says, I do this for a living.
Yeah.
I listen to recordings like this. So I love this community. It's just so helpful, you know, to interact.
And what better communities to listen to and band together with than people who follow true crime on a regular basis. These are, you know, they're expert watchers of true crime, and they know a lot of different things. So Northern Farm Girl Joe says, hey, Joe, what's your honest opinion in a nutshell? 30 seconds to say what you think. LOL, go. I think he already said it, but Joe.
Oh, yeah, I think this is an overcharge. They shouldn't charge it. You know, I understand the escape and whatever host of charges you can add to that with the, I don't know if anyone was assaulted or, the reckless drive, whatever. I would throw all that at him. He definitely needs to be prosecuted, but I think it's an overcharge and it won't survive.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that goes. Well, you heard it here on Crime Time with DutyRon via Joe Murray, criminal defense attorney. We're going to come back and circle back on that, Joe. And when it all comes together, we'll see. We'll see if you're right.
I got plenty of eggs. I could definitely have egg on my face.
I love it. I love it. All right, let's give away 5 memberships. Who wants to be a member? Who wants to get a 1-month free membership? If you are interested in a free membership, put in the chat me, and you have to be here and present. So from people who are watching the replay, don't put in the comment section me because it's too late. You have to be here in the chat. If you are interested in a Crime Time with DutyRon's free 1-month membership, I'm going to give 5 of them away. Just put a me in the chat. I see a couple of me's coming through. Rocky Pastorino, he puts a me and he's already a member. What the?
Oh, hell no.
What are you people? On dope?
Good morning, but you're an asshole.
I didn't mean that, Rocky. It just happened.
That is funny.
All right, so yeah, YouTube picks it randomly, so don't get mad at me if you don't get picked, but you got to be in it to win it, right, Joe?
Yeah, but listen, he's probably just saying, I don't want to pay 1 month. I'm a member, but I want a free month.
Yeah, can I get that free month topped up onto the top of it doesn't work that way. You got to be subscribed to the channel. You have to subscribe, and you have to be here and now in the present. So everybody that's putting me in the chat, you got a chance. Let's do it. We're going to get a little drum roll going. Hold on. I'm going to give a little drum roll. Free memberships coming up. 5. Boom. There we go. Providing my credit card goes
Rocky,
through.
I'm with you. You're certainly a member, but you were looking for a free month. Why not?
All right, DutyRon, there it is. I gifted 5. Let's see who gets them. Broncos Nation was gifted. Becky Kent. Cynthia. Miss Kelly got one. Ah, yeah. And Lori Thompson. She got one. Awesome. Yay. Look at that. It tells you who got the gifts. So Miss Kelly now is a member for a month. And listen, the guys and girls who get those free memberships, you got 30 days. Go through all of Joe Murray here. My friend did a members only for over an hour with me back in the day. There's so many members only exclusive content that never makes it to public. So go over and check out those members only. There's a playlist, and I'll link it down below in the description of this video. And anybody who wants to feel misty and gift 5 memberships, it costs $24. If you want to gift 5 people memberships, that's what I just paid, $24. I gifted 10 earlier and then 5. It makes people's days, and you can only do it while I'm live. So if you are interested in doing that, it's always there for you. You just go right down to the little super chat $, and it says membership gifting. It says join memberships, membership gifting, super chat, and super sticker. You choose the membership gifting, and then you could just send it out, and it makes people's day. I can't tell you how great it is. Look, there's Miss Kelly. She's like, I'm so excited. I bet you this made her night, Miss Kelly, because she's been around for a long, long time, so it's awesome. Brad says, I want to be on Joe's channel. Brad, take a number. Joe has got a waiting list a mile long. There's about 1 million people that want to be on his show. You got to just pick a number, right, Joe?
We're getting there. I just, with COVID now, all the jury trials are ongoing. So I have so many cases that were backlogged that are now being rushed to trial, like back to back. So it's a little insane right now for me and Ange, but we'll get there. We're starting to clear out. We have a couple more, 1 July, 1 in August. September looks like it's starting to clear up. So we're going to be back.
Awesome. We look forward to it. And I'm going to have Ange's going to be a special guest. She's going to co-host with me on one of our shows. So look for Ange. I know she's going to do hair and makeup that day. She's going to go to a beauty salon and get all gussied up. And Ange is going to be my co-host on one of these, one of the shows because Ed Wallace is out and about.
Yep.
Look, Rocky Pastorino sends in $20 and says, "I'll sponsor some and give you $5 more."
Wow, look at that.
That's pretty
Rocky.
cool. So he just sent in $20. I'm gonna send. How many do I get to membership? 10 more gifts, thanks to Rocky Pastorino. Oh wait, no, 5. I was selling myself short. That's $49. 10. All right, so $24. This is going to be 5 memberships courtesy of Rocky Pastorino. If you want to be a member, put me in the chat. If you want to be a member, say I want to be a member. Put the me sign in the chat courtesy of Rocky Pastorino, and then we're going to let Joe go after this because I could do this all night. This is like Monty.
But I gotta say, I really like the members only stuff. It's a little more relaxed and fun, and you know,
yeah, you don't
the
have to
usual
watch what you
characters
say.
are there, and we interact. It's kind of fun. I like it.
I really dig the members only live streams, and it gives you a chance to connect with us on a personal level. Like we really can I let my hair down in those members only. So, all right, here we go. 5 more memberships, courtesy of Rocky Pastorino from Fernley, Nevada. He is instrumental in searching for Naomi Arns. So, Rocky, thank you. There it is. 5 memberships. Let's see who's going to get it. Who's it going to be? Guadalupe, you got a membership. Stacy G. Jeffrey Crowley got one. Yay. Awesome.
Oh, yes.
Karen Lee and Kimberly Schwartz. Congratulations to those 5. So to gift the membership, you have to be on your computer. You can't do it from your smartphone. So you have to be on the desktop to gift memberships. So, yeah. So those of you who are trying to do it from your smartphone, you can't do it from there. It's got to be done. I do it from my desktop right here. So congratulations to those other 5. So that's 10, 20. So far, 20 gifted memberships on this live stream. Congratulations to all the new ones. Have Courage Be Kind says, I'll buy some memberships too.
Wow.
Thank you. She's awesome. Have Courage Be Kind. All right, she's buying 5. I'll put out the extra $4.95 because I like this. This is good. Here's another 5 courtesy of Be Kind. Let's see who gets it. Who wants it? Say me. I don't have a desktop. I mean, Alley Cat can't do it. All right, here we go. I'll do this until my card gets declined, for crying out loud. There's 5 more. Let's see who gets it. KK got a membership. Kalia Bishop got one. Holy Shinkles got one. Miss Amanda got one. And Wisconsinite. Congratulations. All right. Monty Hall, we got to end this, Joe. 1 hour and 30 minutes. We went 30 minutes over. What's the overtime rate for 30 minutes? Is that $695? $695, Joe? The hourly. He's muted. He muted himself. Ange probably muted him. Wow. He doesn't even know what he did. He's like, wow, I'm muted and I don't even know how it happened. Anyways. All right, guys. I'm going to end this 1 hour and 30 live stream. Eddie T is now a member. Rocky Pastorino, thank you for being you. Joe's trying to figure out how he can unmute himself. Ange is going to be coming into the scene in a minute. I know she's like, do this, do that. Awesome. Joe, I don't know what you did, but I can't undo it.
I got it. I fixed it.
Whoa, what is this? Joe Murray gifting 5 memberships? Is that what that was all about? Who is that? Your boss did that?
I was trying to figure that out. She helped me.
Oh man, come on, Ange. She just did $50 and she gifted 5 memberships. Wow, she's breaking.
Damn.
What's she doing?
She wants that co-host job.
All right, Coffee Girl got one. Who else did? Wait, where did it go? Sheila Woodbury, Modest Man, Savage Games was gifted a membership by Joe Murray. And now I got to do 10 more because she just sent $50. Holy shit. When is this going to end? Here we go. 10 more.
Everyone really has to experience that members only experience. It's kind of cool. I like it.
I dig it. It's a way to, like I said, it's a way to really get and really get down and get in touch with us.
Yeah, it's more intimate. The chat and stuff is pretty lively.
All right, so look at all these things that are going out. Modest Man is a new member. Beth Hammer, Debbie P, Donna Bridgeton. I'm hoping that all of these folks that got gifted these memberships continue on with it, or half of them at least. MMM, excellent. Nola Mom was gifted a membership. Tea and Wildflowers is now a new member. Welcome to all these new members. Wow. Sherilyn Schofner sent in a super chat. I cannot be outdone. More memberships, DutyRon. I better end this before this thing continues on.
Uh-oh.
Oh, look, it just said you reached your limit of memberships. You can't give any more. YouTube told me I can't give any more. That's bullshit. I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going back door, Joe. Here we go.
Backdooring it. Yeah.
There's 5 more. That's it. I was able to backdoor them. Boom. And Jersey Girl says me. Ellie U was just gifted a membership. Dragon Burrow was gifted a membership. James Child, Ashley 687, and Penny Cohen gifted memberships. All right, Joe, let's get out of here.
Welcome.
Thank you, Jamie Johnson, for the $5 super chat. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate all the love here. Hey, listen, if you like all things true crime related from a police perspective, and you like all of the excellent panelists that we get to come on with us, like Joe Murray. We had handwriting analysis expert coming on with us last week. It was such great shows that we put together. Consider hitting the subscribe button, giving us a thumbs up, sharing it out onto your social media platform. Engage with this community. Leave comments down below. Ask us questions. We love it. And I want to say special thank you to Patreon. The Patreon supporters are invaluable. You guys are what makes this thing go. Members only, you guys that are members, the subscribers, the people who watch the replays and let the ads run. I got to tell you, I love you guys. So thank you. Joe Murray, thank you for taking out the time. I appreciate you, brother. You are the best.
My pleasure. Always a pleasure working with you.
As I like to end all these things, God bless the world, God bless the United States of America, and God bless each and every one of us here in the chat, but especially the victims, the crime of the families of the victims that are victims of crime. We support them. And you know what, Joe? The outro that I'm about to play is courtesy of your better half. Ange made my intro and my outro, and I'm so proud that she did that.
Skills. Send her that recording. She's got the equipment to tease out the
she's a badass. Ange is a bad. She is one bad mamma jamma. All right, guys. Good night from New York City. We spent an hour and 35 minutes with you. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. We'll see you soon. Thanks, Joe. Peace and love, guys. Talk to you soon.